Hello, you're watching Living Out Loud on ACMi. My name is Kai Ramenper, and I'm here with the Arlington Council on Aging. Today, Bill Murphy joins us to talk about community, growth, and retirement. Tune in after the break for the interview. Bill, so you have served the Arlington community at the Arlington Council on Aging as the Transportation and Volunteer Coordinator for 15 years. 15 years!
Whoa.
What does that feel like?
It's hard to describe. I'm excited, actually. This sounds funny. I'm excited to be leaving because I feel like I'm being sent on. I'm really okay with it. It's not nice, leaving, but I would just say that there's been so many good things that have happened over the years at the Council on Aging and at the Senior Center. Community-wise, individual-wise, watching people blossom, helping people when they're struggling, all that kind of stuff, that I'm okay. I'm okay.
I know. I mean, it's amazing. It sounds like you've had a lot of opportunities to sort of interact with the community in this role. Would you mind sort of telling the audience what you've been doing as the volunteer and transportation coordinator over the last 15 years?
Sure. It's been a kind of a strange combination of roles in the sense of transportation and volunteer supervisor are almost like different parts of the brain, But because of that, it's been very rich. I mean, I was never bored when I came to work on any given day. But the transportation, the two are integrated in the sense of, I guess the theme of the transportation is keep people moving.
Okay.
And we do a lot of different facets of, we've got the social workers who are really helping Marcy and Lori August. And then we've got the nurse who's a geriatric nurse, Irvi. And those people are kind of taking care of, one set of things, but I'm kind of bringing them in and out and making sure they're coming. And also providing kind of it's funny, it's non-medical, and yet the transportation program is oriented towards bringing people to the senior center for the activities, which is almost, you can see, as like a preventative medical kind of program, and then we also provide transportation for any of the hospitals and medical appointments in the area as well as in Boston, and the whole thing. So, we're really doing a lot of good things, and
it sounds like you are the connector, right? So you have these resources and you have these groups of people, and you are the reason that people are getting these resources and getting to these programs and events. And a connector for especially a group of people, a population that sometimes has trouble connecting with the community for whatever reason. Right. What does it feel like to be, so integral to how a community engages?
Yeah, it feels great. It feels like you're really doing something important, helpful. I guess my only disappointment is that I feel not enough people know how great the things are, the programs, the people, how lively it is at the senior center. I mean, everybody's got this image of, I'm not old enough to go to the senior center yet, or I'm not in bad enough shape. But boy, you walk through the senior center and you got 4 types of exercise. You got Tai Chi, yoga in chairs, yoga on the floor. So, and the people, these are the people that are thriving.
Absolutely.
These are the people you want to be around. Because we have such an image of old age. And, I mean, there is a facet of it that's diminishment. But these people are not too diminished, believe me. They're going right on. And so it's almost, I get a bang out of walking through the big hall upstairs on my way something, and I'll see all these, 70, 80-year-old people stretching, dancing to music.
Yes.
I mean, it's wild. It's great. And it gives me hope. I mean, I'm getting up there too.
Oh, right.
But I don't have the same image of aging that I had when I first started working there,
Oh, absolutely. I think the senior center has really been momentous in changing the way that people view aging. You know, so you talk about how people don't want to sometimes go to the senior center because they have this view of what seniors are and how old they have to be and their, you know, the mobility that they have. And I mean, our center is doing really wonderful things for sort of diminishing those biases, challenging those biases.
Right.
Right?
No, it's true. And I've seen it change over the years. When I got there 15 years ago, we had 34 volunteers. And now we have over 100. And the same with the programs. There were really, you know, about 4 or 5 basic programs. And now there's just a plethora of possibilities, everything from, you know, writing poetry and doing Shakespeare to all the different exercise programs to and intergenerational stuff. We've got a lot of intergenerational where kids come to the senior center. You know, we've got a thing started now called Tea Talk.
Oh, yes,
in which
wonderful.
students who are at the high school, who are international students, there's 26 of them. They come over once a month, and some of the seniors, about 15 seniors, and we sit in small groups and do different things, different games, different talk about different things and stuff, you know. And it's wonderful. It's just, it's great to mix that international community, but it's also just good to mix the ages. Our
Absolutely,
society
yes.
is not good at encouraging young people and older people to spend time together, just to hang out. You know, you don't have to, you know, solve the world's problems. You just got to hang out and talk.
Yeah,
I was very blessed with that. That's part of why I ended up in this field, I think. When I was a kid, I had 2 great-grandparents, 4 grandparents, aunts and uncles, you know, all over the place. And we saw each other all the time. We had Sunday meals together. I went on vacation with my grandmother for a month, and all that kind of stuff. So you got to see that these were not just old people, they were characters. They were
Right.
funny, you know, they had done things,
They
gotten
had
into
stories.
trouble.
Yes, they had so many stories to share.
Yeah,
Right, and I think that when you talk about some of the intergenerational work that we're doing and also the other programs, it really is an exchange of knowledge, right? An exchange of experience and how wealthy we can be as a community in these cultural sort of celebrations when people are together talking about what they've experienced, what they've seen in life.
How they see things, yeah.
Right.
One of the things that was really funny, a number of years ago, Mary Villano up at the high school, she and I had gotten together and we started this book club, this intergenerational book club, which still goes on today. They meet once a month. And we would pick books that we would read together and then talk. Well, talk about watching the stereotypes tinkle, tinkle. The kids were not anything like we thought they were going to be, and we were not anything like they thought we were going to be. So it's pretty outrageous, some of the discussions we had, and it was really a lot of fun, and you know, it's very humanizing. You see each other not as stereotypes, but as human beings.
As humans, with people with real stories and experiences, and that is just so important to our community. You know, we on Living Out Loud have talked countless minutes about what our communities are looking like as people begin to sort of stay active and healthy longer. And that is something that, you know, we talk about. This is the importance of getting people together to communicate and how hard it is. And it's just, it's really good to hear that, you know, you have seen in your experience at the Senior Center, our programs grow and our impact grow.
Right, definitely, right.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, you know, it reminds me when you were saying about with getting people together, you almost need an excuse to get them together, if it's the kids and stuff, you know. You can't just get together to just hang out and talk. You really need to focus on something, and then that bounces off into the real thing that happens, getting to know each other. And the thing that you do can be different. I mean, it can be, you know, painting walls together or doing projects, helping people together, cutting lawns, whatever, you know. But you almost need, especially now, it just seems like it's, our society has changed so much that the opportunities don't happen spontaneously. You got to be a little sneaky and a little subtle, you know, and then everybody has a great time. But,
Right.
you know, you just got to organize it a little bit.
Yeah, and like you were saying, getting people there might be the hardest part.
Right.
I think that conversations and people connect almost naturally when they're in spaces together, but having those programs that encourages and cultivates these spaces is something that, you know, you've been a part of at the senior center. So I think that's just phenomenal, really phenomenal.
I've been blessed by it as far as I'm concerned. It certainly has enriched my life, and like I said before, I almost feel being sent on. And some of the things I'm looking forward to doing are like an extension of the same kind of thing, either with, most of them with kind of intergenerational stuff. That's what I'm really interested in, you know, working in that kind of thing. So, and I would say, you know, it's because of Arlington and the people here that, you know, have taught me what I know now.
And life is a journey, right? It's
Isn't
all
it?
about the things that we've learned along the way. And I, you know, just talking about the journey generally, I'm really interested in how you even came across the senior center. Like, how did you get involved to begin with? 15 years ago, what was going through your head when you applied for the position?
Right. I think it was two things. One, before that, I had worked for years in home care. I had tried teaching at Malden Catholic like 20 years ago. It was a huge failure. It was one of the giant failures of my life. I couldn't control the kids.
Right.
Yeah, it was the discipline side of it. You know, I enjoyed what I was teaching when I got to teach it.
Right.
but they ate me up and spat me out. So in reevaluating, I said, well, I think I got to go to the other end of the spectrum. So I started in home care, and I worked for Mount Auburn for a number of years. And again, that was similar in a certain sense of, you know, it was one-on-one, it was with older people, and you know, I knew I wanted to work with older people, I think because of what I said before. I had all these grandparents and great-grandparents, and knew how interesting they were, you know, and so, you know, why not, you know. And then with the home care, it was very kind of one-on-one and helping people bathe and all that kind of stuff, you know. And my wife and I had worked out, you know, there's not much money in that, but she had a very good job as a principal of a grade school, and we knew how much money I needed to make, so it was kind of, I could say, well, what can I do that I'm really going to like? I didn't have to I got to make, you know, a certain amount of money in a sense, you know. So I did that, and I did that for 15 years also, for 14 years. But then I started having trouble with my back because of reaching, you know, dragging people in and out of bed and stuff, you know. So then I said, well, you know, I really, you know, what else, you know, can I do which would be, you know, similar? And I'm not sure how I found out. I think I found out about Arlington from somebody that I had worked with actually at Mount Auburn. And so I came down and applied, and I remember this very clearly. I came for the interview, and I had come into the senior center and walked into the drop-in room, and I really liked the feeling of it. It was very comfortable. The light was shining in. Just seemed like a place that, you know, you could really feel good about coming to work in, you know. So I went downstairs and I did the interview with John Jope and with I guess it was I forget who the other people were, but anyway, John phoned one of my references, and he was going to talk about all the different qualities that I might have to be, you know, work at this. And this friend of mine said, well, Bill's very compassionate. And John said, compassionate? That's what we need? And he hung up. He didn't even finish the interview on the thing, and then he called me up. So I think it was the compassionate, and I think it was also there weren't any other men in the department, so I think there was a little testosterone thing going on too, you know. But like I say, I feel very fortunate that I ended up here, and it's been a good place for me to be, and I think it's been good for everybody, but you don't want to say that.
No, I mean, I've really only been in this role since August, and so how I know you is compassionate, right? People love to connect with you. It's so easy to talk to you. And, do you think that your compassion is where a lot of this growth has happened in the organization itself? Like you said that when you first started, there were only 34 volunteers, and now there's over 100. Right. So you obviously have to have something to do with that.
Right. Yeah, I think it's two. I think that it's two things, and they're connected actually. Compassion and hospitality. I think it's. I would say, and it's not just because of me, but I think the hospitality level of the senior center has increased tremendously from Kathy Gilligan and the hostesses upstairs with the ASA to the people at the front desk, Dana at our front desk and stuff. When people come in, they're welcomed, and there's nothing like that feeling, especially when you're feeling either ill or an outsider or alone. All those kind of things. So I'd say those are. Yeah, I think that's. It has helped a lot. That is kind of my character, but I think everybody's fostered it. Lori and Marcy, the social workers. I mean, you can't find people that don't take you in and help you find a solution.
Very true. Everyone's very involved at the council. They always want to talk to you and share stories, and I think that's a lot about what makes the center an amazing place to be. Do you? Oh.
The other thing too that is interesting when you say that, the thing that has always fascinated me from the beginning. Now I'm not even sure how many full-time workers we have now, but like I'm only 24 hours. Okay, and I remember when I first came, there were only full-time workers. The director. Don, who drove the van, and I guess Lori was maybe full time at that time. But it isn't interesting that we've got a conglomeration of people, interns, part-time people, 8 hours, 20 hours.
Yes.
There's nobody, in a sense, or hardly anybody that's full time, which is interesting. It's both a blessing and a curse. We can pull it off and have for years, but it's not really the way ideally it ought to be. I mean, it would make it a lot, not easier in a cheap sense, but a lot fulfilling. We drag our bodies around a lot of time because it is hard work, and people are tired. But anyway, it's still working, and that's the important thing, I guess. But I just wanted to. Because it always struck me, and I can remember we used to talk about that all the time. We don't even have, full-time workers, and we're still working, doing an incredible job on the issues, the social, physical, mental issues of the town. So it's wonderful. It's both, like I said, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I completely agree. Being in the office, realizing that people are just very invested and they love what they do. And, I think that there's this mentality that, towns aren't invested in, town employees aren't invested in things like social services. But, wow, the Council on Aging absolutely just wipes that stereotype out of anyone's mind because it's really quite amazing, the work that everyone is doing.
Yeah, I agree. That's really true. The whole social services, Board of Health, all of our whole department. I'd say everybody just is straight out doing things and trying to do their job. And like you say, the myth is that workers for a town aren't. They're just there for their pension or something. Yeah,
right.
It's really sad. It really is. Not that I want to turn in my pension. Which I'm just barely going to get.
We're busting them.
We're busting them, right. No, I'm getting a very good pension. I'm very happy to have served the town of Arlington because they really have taken good care of me as far as I'm concerned.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite memory? I'm sure you have many memorable moments, but a favorite memory of working in the Council on Aging?
Yeah, I'd say, I really have two, I think. One is the 5K races and the other is the Thanksgiving mornings. And both of them for similar reasons. They both started small.
Okay.
Like say Thanksgiving has forever been financed by the men's club, the Arlington Men's Club. But when I first came, there were 14 men that did all the driving. They paid for the turkeys, and they delivered them all to like 130 meals.
Yes.
They ran around, and Donald and I would make the schedule and show them what, where they had to go and all that kind of stuff. But slowly, people started to hear about it, and the men's club continues to be a big participant, both financing it, but also the 14 guys are still driving. But we've expanded so that families do it now, and it's wonderful. I mean, last year we had 70 families deliver 110 meals. So it was just, and they constantly say, how meaningful it is for their kids, for themselves. It's a quick 2-hour morning kind of thing, Thanksgiving morning. I always say, if you're not responsible cooking the turkey on Thanksgiving Day, it's a great way to spend the morning.
Yes.
Great. And then the race is the same way. We started the race 8 years ago, I guess, and there were 54 runners. And a ton of volunteers. There's still 40 volunteers organizing it. And then last year, there were over 400 runners.
Wow.
And still, a ton, and now it's about 70 volunteers. And after the race, there's all these families and stuff that come and, show off their kids to the runners and show the runners off to the kids. And they have food donated by different places in town and stuff, Zaz Pizza and all these different places. And so it's become a community kind of thing as opposed to just there's a lot of people involved in it. And that's the key to me. It's always been the key. Get people doing things together, and then other things happen. Then other things can happen. You don't have to start up everything. Once you get a group of people together, things will happen. The chemistry starts working, and they come up with other ideas.
Right. It's not necessarily reinventing the wheel. It's just starting it rolling again.
That's right.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing those.
Yeah. My pleasure. My pleasure. Been a pleasure having the experiences and now being able to share them.
And with this age-friendly initiative that Arlington is really trying to spearhead, community gatherings, getting people involved is really the center and the energy that sort of we're trying to cultivate.
Right.
And where do you foresee Arlington in the age-friendly? I mean, you know that we've been sort of working on this for the past couple of years and really focusing on it in the past couple of months.
Right.
Where do you see the center, the senior center in this sort of movement?
Well, I guess obviously just age-friendly, connotes that it should be a mixture of ages. So in that sense, it's right at the heart of the fact that I think, now we've been experimenting with these intergenerational activities. We have 3 different ones going, each with its own little style, little twist to it, The book club, the tea talk, and then we've got one at the Dallin, which is a little bit more structured with the kids, Well, you use the right word. How do you get people together? That's the thing. That's the key. And especially in our society, which reinforces being apart.
Yes,
It's
isolation is a big trend.
Yeah, it really is. There's no quick and easy, down and dirty answer to it, I don't think. But I think, start what you can start, where you can start, and see what happens. I'm a very big believer in kind of, what would you call it, the rhythm of something, or the being attuned. So I think if you start things and are willing to be open to tweaking them in different ways, and being willing to fail as well, but learn from the failures, but being willing to start, then I think the things, if if what you're starting is appropriate to the times, it will catch on. I believe that. I do believe that. But I think you have to be persistent. That's another thing that's not very much of an American value, is just move on, you know, or, you know, in and out. You can't do that. It takes time. It takes time. And sticking to it and solving the problems, not getting discouraged, all those kind of things. And so however you design it, have it be some of have those things. How do you deal with discouragement? How do you get people together? How do you keep people going? It's got to, you know, it's. But I think it's that. What's that line from the movie? If you build the field, people will come. You know, I forget what movie that was, but it's that kind of thing. You know, if you do it, and it's appropriate, and you work at it. It's not that it happens immediately, but it'll work. It'll catch on. And I think the Council on Aging is a good example of that. I mean, you know, a lot of people that are there have been there quite a long time. So they have been, you know, through the ups and downs. There's also been new input, you know, new people come in and stuff, because you do need fresh ideas and stuff. But I think there's been persistence, and that's pays off.
Wisdom. So much wisdom. You should teach workshops after this. How do you get people engaged? That can be its own workshop that you run.
Right.
You know, and you've had a plethora of experience at the council, 15 years. And so we're celebrating your retirement. What do you see moving forward? Where do you see yourself going after this? You're not done by any means. So what do you have, any plans? I
do have plans, but first I want to say what I would hope is that at the senior center, that the transportation system is used more by more people.
Okay.
Because again, the more the merrier. You get more people moving and stuff, you know. I would still get, after 15 years, I'd still get phone calls from people saying, oh, I didn't know we could use a van to get to a medical appointment. Give me a break. You know, how much are we publicized? But anyway, so that's one thing. I would really like to see that. And then I also, my hope would be that I'm really pleased and excited by the fact that the intergenerational things have been increasing. That we've only had the one for years, and now we're up to 3. Marcy's doing a really good job on that, and the social worker, and other things, and you know, and so I guess those two things are uppermost in my mind. I would hope that would happen, just because again, then things can happen.
Right.
You know. Okay. But those are the only things I think about that, for that. As far as for myself. One of the surprises that I got from the senior center was I participated in a poetry writing program that a poet from Arlington, Jessie Brown, started at she was running it at the Audison School. And she asked if I could get a few seniors to participate. And I said, well, do you want the senior to come and read their favorite poem, or do you want them to learn how to write poetry too? And she says, the latter. So I went, and it was absolutely transformative in my life. I became a poet, which I had never considered myself before. I'm sure Sister Mary Holywater in the 3rd grade told me I couldn't write poetry, and so I never even tried it after that, you know. But anyway, Jessie showed me and convinced me, and she did it with a bunch of other people too, and she has done other poetry programs at the senior center. But that was something that I'm taking into the future. I really want, one of the reasons why I want to move on is so that I have more time to slow down and write poetry.
That's
because
amazing.
I love it. It enriches my life tremendously. I've always been a person who liked words, but I never organized them that way. So that was one thing. The other thing is I am moving into, I have a job as a Justice of the Peace. So I'm you know, trying to expand that, because again, it gets me in touch with young people. You know, it's a time of their life that and I help them design a ceremony that, you know, reflects their own things. So, you know, so that's been good. I'm a Massachusetts Justice of the Peace. So. And that's got a little money with it too, so that's helpful. It keeps bread on my table. And then the big thing I think really, I am working on a project with, I was in an organization called Maryknoll, Foreign Mission Society. Mm-hmm. And so we're working on a program to try to get people that come back from overseas to stop and think about what happened, okay, and then use that as the basis of what life choice decisions they make. You know, what kind of work they would do, what kind of stuff. Well, I'm excited about that. I think that it's an interest of mine, and I love that kind of thing. And and I had I was very blessed to have lived in Africa and stuff, and so I figure I owe it. I'm paying back to Africa, to Tanzania. Anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at. But I think other things will open up too in the future.
That's wonderful, and you know, it's really nice because we hear things about, like in society, about retirement, and it stirs up these images of people just, you know, leaving their jobs and then, you know, not really staying active, sort of like disconnecting, but that's not true, right? We know that, and you're in a prime example of really being so engaged in the community and really looking forward to being continually engaged in other fashions. Right. You know, Arlington has been so grateful to have you on staff, and we will miss you. We really, really will. Right. You know,
it would be nice to be missed.
Yes.
It's also nice to be sent.
And I hope that you can come back on ACMi and maybe read your poetry, okay, and stay involved with us. We would love that. Good. Tremendously.
Be happy to. I look forward to it. It'll give me a reason to come back.
Well, I think that is all for today's interview. Do you have any other thoughts?
You've drained me.
Oh, I have that effect on.
No, you've drawn everything out. I thank you. I really enjoyed having this chance to talk about things that, you know, at this time when I'm leaving, it's nice to, you know, put together the highlights, you know, and the different facets of it. So thank you. It was a great opportunity for me to come. I appreciate you welcoming me and me being able to share. Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for being on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. That is all for Living Out Loud. Thank you.